we are really delighted to have Professor Ken Olson, the head of the International Federation of the Orthopaedic Manipulative Physical Therapists, and he's going to have a brief talk about IFOMPT. Please welcome Dr. Ken.
Thank you very much. It is a great honor for me to be here to represent IFOMPT at this historic conference. I want to thank the organizing committee for the opportunity and the invitation to be here as the president of IFOMPT. So IFOMPT was established in 1974, and there were actually about 5 years worth of meetings that led up to this, and some of the individuals who were instrumental in starting IFOMPT are in this photograph with Dr. Stanley Paris, Gregory Grieve, Freddie Kaltenborn, and Jeffrey Maitland. So they were essentially the four principal people involved with the idea of IFOMPT, and then they continued to grow that. And their idea was to have a network of international orthopedic manual-physical therapist specialists who could come together, share ideas, share their knowledge, and try to promote that area of practice. And part of the establishment of IFOMPT was also to make the requirement for full membership of a country to IFOMPT dependent on meeting certain educational standards in orthopedic manual physical therapy, which really make IFOMPT somewhat of a unique international organization to have these educational standards. IFOMPT then became officially a subgroup of WCPT in 1978, and we continue to be one of their specialty subgroups, and really the first and the largest specialty subgroup within WCPT. So this slide shows the where our members are at. So the member organizations are in red, and the registered interest groups are in green. And what's really exciting to me is that we're now developing registered interest groups in regions of the world that have been previously underrepresented by this specialty area. So to be here in Egypt and see representation from other countries in this region is extremely exciting to me, and I feel, again, very privileged to be here and be part of this historic event. So this slide just outlines sort of the requirements to become a full member organization of IFOMPT. And you know, one of the real challenges is to meet the educational standards in post-professional manual physical therapy educational programming. So there's certain dimensions within that, including having an element of research and mentored clinical practice within that educational program. So that's something that you know, we find to be very important, but also quite a challenge to the newer countries. Also, one of the kind of unique things about IFOMPT is that once you're a member organization and your therapists graduate from the manual therapy programs, that other countries within IFOMPT will recognize them as specialists should they move to that country and become licensed in that country. So that's another thing that's somewhat unique with what we have with IFOMPT. And this slide just kind of outlines with the other category of membership, registered interest groups. And you know, really some of the benefits of that is to be a part of this international network of specialists and to be part of really the IFOMPT family, and then also to be able to have some of the mentoring to try to work towards the educational standards and ultimately become a member organization. So we're very pleased that Egypt is with us as a registered interest group. So some of the benefits of membership in IFOMPT is you're really part of that international family that's working to advance orthopedic manual physical therapy worldwide. And then you become part of this network of specialists that can share the knowledge, have research collaboration, and also part of that research collaboration has been part of sort of an international review process for clinical guidelines. The neck pain guideline that was published in JOSPT, before it was published, it was actually brought to our international network of specialists with more feedback, and it really brought sort of enriched that guideline before it was finalized. Again, being part of that organization that establishes these international standards for orthopedic manual physical therapy training, you get to have some input and part of the consensus process as those standards are renewed and revised. And then also having that international recognition of the specialists in OMPT within your country, and to be able to have that reciprocal recognition that I described earlier. So this is the executive committee. So I was elected president in the Glasgow meeting in 2016, and I'll have a 4-year term, along with Laura Finnecane from the United Kingdom, Renee de Ruyter from Switzerland, Annelies Poel from the Netherlands, and Paolo from Canada is our treasurer. Then we also have the Standards Committee, another very vital part of IFOMPT. So the Standards Committee are specialists in manual therapy and manual therapy education in particular. And so this is really the group that's going to look at those educational programs to see if it meets IFOMPT standards. And they also run an international monitoring process. So once you're a member, you still every few years have to submit materials to show that you continue to meet those educational standards. And they're also responsible for revising the international standards when they're up for renewal. We also recently, in the last year and a half, have established advisory groups. So we have our members, individuals involved on these groups that helped advise the executive committee on issues such as finance, as well as rig development. So we have some very experienced therapists who are helping the registered interest groups work towards those international standards and working toward becoming full member organizations. And we also have a branding and a research advisory group as well. But all of this really is, we really consider it a large international family. So, you know, you have your Egyptian manual therapy family, which now is part of the international IFOMPT international family. And so I'm very glad to be here to meet an extension of my family and IFOMPT's family. So, so the next big event coming up for IFOMPT is our international conference that we put on every 4 years, and this will be in Melbourne, Australia. You can see the dates, but I hope many of you will mark your calendars and see if you can come to Melbourne and be part of our conference. So I very much hope to see you in Melbourne in 2020. Thank you very much.